Welcome to welcome. There's a quiet lie divorced dads believe that keeps them stuck for years. And it sounds spiritual, it sounds responsible, it even sounds disciplined, but it's killing your momentum. I could tell you a time for my own self when I was in this healing, I'm using air quotes, healing phase, right? Time was passing. I was staying busy, man. I was staying busy. I was working out. I was praying. I was staying more sober. Wasn't saying I was perfect, but I was staying more sober. And nothing was really actually changing. I still had these spirals. I still had these dark nights and dark moments, man, that were just exhausting and debilitating. And these are the stories that I hear from so many dads every single month. Every single month. I actually wasn't healing. I was hiding in time. This episode is probably going to be a little bit abrasive. It's going to cause some friction. And I do that because iron sharpens iron, boys. Um, what got you here will not be what gets you across this chasm that you're walking in, this valley of the shadow of death that you're in. I want to pause there and just say, hey guys, if this podcast has helped you in any way, man, drop a subscribe, send it to somebody, leave a quick review, because especially those dads that are looking to help other dads, that is exactly what the platforms are looking for you to do. Subscribe, drop a review if it's been helpful, because it's not just you healing, it's not just your children healing. There's dads that are actually attached to you just by simply clicking a button. So I want to say thank you in advance. Let's dig into this healing versus hiding. So, hiding looks like waiting to feel better, waiting to feel better. And many times I'm posting in on Instagram on the Divorced Dads of America account. If you're not following that, jump in there and follow. The comments in there, so many times I'll hear from dads that'll say, time will heal, you know, or it'll get better. And I have to just stop right there and tell you that it will not get better. It, it does not get better. Time does not heal. And you might not want to hear that, but it's not the time. It's what you do with the time. It's what you do with the time that heals. Time is shrinking every single day of your life. You're losing a day. You're losing a day. You're losing a day. And those of you that are younger, and this is the difference between guys that are older, 40 plus versus the guys that are younger, they still think they can figure it out and go to YouTube University. What they don't realize is that as you get older, you realize that the clock is ticking and you don't have time anymore to waste a day. You don't have time anymore to, hope it gets better. You're looking for solutions. You're looking for you're looking for a guide. It's similar to we went to when I was younger, we went to Africa for a trip, and my dad was preaching, and he preached, and they were kind enough to take us to a nearby game reserve. And we went to the game reserve, and it was absolutely incredible. But I tell you what, we didn't go off on our own to try and find lions and you know, cheetahs, giraffes, water buffaloes. We didn't go off on our own. We didn't go try and find the big five and just wander off from our tents. Why? Well, we didn't have we could have been killed. When we would go to bed at night, we had a guide with a two guns on him to walk us back to our rooms. Why? We needed a guide. We needed direction. And then what happened? We got on our Jeep the next day, and we went around, drove around, and guess what? They found them. And had an armored car. And we had all the guns we needed to ensure that we were safe. Why? And we got to see what we wanted to see in a matter of 2 days. Everything. That is the difference between getting a guy to take you to where you want to go and trying to wander off into the jungle by yourself. And many of you are wandering and it's actually hiding. Why? The harder thing, life is about doing the hardest thing possible. I just watched an interview with Andrew Huberman, great neuroscience guy that I love to watch. And I watched him do a workout, and he was with somebody, and they only did the exercises that were the most difficult, that were the hardest. Many times going, reps till failure. Many times not being able to squeeze that last rep out. And the spotter was literally holding it for him. And those were the moments of greatest growth in their muscles and in their build outs. Life is the same. Your mind is the same. What you do is the same. And so I'm calling out the discipline. I'm calling out you guys that are so good at doing a lot of things, so busy, working on all of these things. And I'm calling out that there's a moment where healing, we have to decide if it's healing or if it's actually the hiding part. Healing requires this. I said what hiding was. Healing is exposure. Healing is interrupting these patterns. Healing is getting real with the truth of your life, what you're avoiding, getting the truth about your real self-talk, getting the truth about what you believe. I was on a call the other day with a guy and we began to talk, and it was very clear that he did not believe that things were going to go well with his children, or things were going to go well with a divorce, or things were going to go well. Very clear. And I said, well, what would you like to see happen? He's like, well, man, yeah, I'd like to see my kids, or like to see this. And I said, well, you have two visions working right now. Your inner dialogue and your speech is all about how it's not going to work. However, you want it to work. And so you have to make a decision. Which vision are you going for? And in both cases, I'm not saying they're guaranteed, but there's one there's a path to the stuff you don't want, and there's a path to the stuff that you do want. Another thing of healing actually requires accountability. Another guy that I was talking to in this was exactly that, where there wasn't accountability. His exterior life was in disarray. His home was a mess. His businesses were all over the place. His time management was terrible. And these are all exterior consequences of internal turmoil. What your outside is a reflection of your inside. So what does that mean? He wasn't accountable to his day-by-day practices of his internal self. What is his internal self? What are you thinking, man? What are you thinking versus what are you doing? What is your self-talk like? What is your mouth saying? What are your actions doing? What are your beliefs about the situation? Because if your belief is set in one way, that's the direction you're going. My son plays football and he's in high school, and he believes that he's going to be a great receiver and a great player and all those things. I've talked to him about basketball and track. He doesn't believe that he wants to do that. And guess what? He's not going to do it. He's not into it. He doesn't believe he can do it. He doesn't believe he wants to do it. And that's exactly the same things that happen in our lives. What you believe is what you become. That's why the insides, guys talking to me about cash flow and revenue and relationships, it's all starting from the internal self of what's going on. This internal tsunami that you have going on is what's ultimately creating your external whirlwinds of uncertainty, of anxiety, of fear, of worry, of all of those things. So the scripture says it like this. He who has, he says, Isaiah 26:3, he will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is set on them, whose trust is in the Lord. If you want perfect peace, it's going to be tethered to not you, but to what God has for you. Let me dive into some neuroscience quickly, and I'm going to end here with some questions. Number one is the brain does not heal through time, right? The brain does not heal through time. And so you have to understand that it heals through corrected repetition. People will say practice makes perfect. No, it does not make perfect. If you perfect practice makes perfect. When you practice how you will play how you practice so that when you play, it feels like practice. That is the synergy. That is the consistency. That is the strategy of what needs to happen in your life. And I'm telling you all these things, and you know them. You know it's right. You know it's true. You watch sports. You watch successful business leaders. You know what they do. There's not a call that I get on with a guy where he's saying, "Wow, I didn't know that." It's what they're saying is, "I know that. I'm not doing it. I'm not accountable to it, and I keep missing it." And there's the gap of that is one way in many ways where most dads are hiding. They're hiding in this, I don't want somebody to actually know fully what's going on in my life. And I don't want to get accountable to it because if I'm accountable to it, what if I fail again? And so now you're living life in this fear. You're living life in this reality that you don't want to fail again. And that's not what failure is. Failure is learning in lessons and building upon those lessons to create the future you want to create. So, some data points on the neuroscience is unprocessed emotional memory stays active in your brain. Avoidance reinforces the fear circuits, and the brain confuses familiar pain with safety. What happens is when you avoid it, what happens is when I use this picture of the things that are in your pockets. When you keep those things in your pockets, they're weights and they will hold you back. That's why I always say, when you want freedom, it's the truth that you know and the truth that you do that will set you free. You have truths. You have things that you're cutting corners on, man. You have things that you have yet to give up. You have things that you are not facing. You're letting them linger. And as they linger, they grow. You're either growing or you're dying. There's no in between. Your nervous system will choose familiar pain over unfamiliar freedom every single time. Your body will want you to stay in safety. Your body will want you to stay in comfort. And as you know from all of the different people that you've listened to, comfort will kill you, period. Facts. Exclamation mark. So there's a bit of a rational emotional behavioral therapy that I'll run through quickly, and then I want to give you some of these integrations. There's an event, there's a belief, there's an emotion, there's a behavior. That's what you've got to get. For example, here's a trap that I hear a lot. If I just give it time, this will go away. This will fix itself. I shouldn't still be struggling is another belief trap. I shouldn't still be struggling. Another belief trap. I should be further along. Man, I tell you what, social media, the comparison is a thief of joy, is social media. When you start looking at what other people are doing or where you should be in your life, I should be further along. This shouldn't have happened to me. Why am I struggling so hard? No, this is the life that you have. Life is happening for you, not to you. Every time I hear somebody, a dad complain, a struggle, you have got to get that loop redefined, transformed to say, thank you. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for making me a better man. Thank you for making me a better dad. Thank you for causing me to raise my standards in my life. Pain doesn't mean failure. Avoidance means stagnation. The FAST system, as you know, we talk through about focus and faith, accountability. Some of these things look like that as we distill it through the lens of focus of the FAST system. So, example, focus is what are you rehearsing daily? Who wronged you or who are you becoming? What are you focusing on? Who wronged you or who are you becoming? Accountability says it like this: who has permission to call out your blind spots, right? Who has permission to interrupt your stories that are just garbage? This guy that I was talking to that had his life in all over the place, mismanaged. What you can't measure, you can't manage. And I simply said, "What is this costing you, man? Like what's the real dollars and cents? You say you value your time. You say time is everything. If it's everything, then why is it all over the place? Why are you pissing it away? Why are you giving it away like TikToks? Tic Tacs, not TikToks. Why are right? Why are you doing the things that you're doing still? Why? Because he's yet to have somebody call out his blind spots, and he's yet to get accountable, and he's yet to have somebody interrupt his story, his belief system, which is BS. That's what I call it. When you got BS, it's a bad belief system. What's your strategy? Are you tracking emotional triggers, or are you just enduring them? Oh, if I can just get through this, if I can just get to the gym, if I can just get run around, if I just stay busy. No, 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 no. What if you sat still and understood, why is this happening? Why am I feeling this way? What does this feeling mean? What does it matter? Why is this bothering me right now? And what do I want to focus on instead? And here's the transformation. If your behaviors haven't changed, your beliefs haven't changed. They're tied together. We know Romans 12 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation is not waiting. It is action. It's taking it. It's doing it. So here's a few things that you can do. Here's a hiding audit you can do. So if you had a second to pause or pause the segment or whatever it may be, these are 3 questions that will reveal what you're hiding. Number 1, where am I calling avoidance healing? Be honest, man. Like, I'm not here to give you a massage and smack you on the back and say, "Hey, well done, man." I'm here because the friction in your life is going to sharpen the sword that you have. Number 2, what emotion do I refuse to feel without distraction? What emotion am I refusing to feel without trying to jump out of it? And why do I want to jump out of it? Number 3, what would change if I stopped waiting and I started confronting? What would change if I saw fear as a door that was wide open that I needed to walk through instead of walk away from? What if I decided that fear was actually the direction I needed to go? Ryan Holiday's book is a great one liner, and it's a great book. The obstacle is the way. Find the obstacle, find the struggle, find the fear. There you go. And make sure that you're accountable to walk through that. Awareness is the first withdrawal from hiding. Remember that. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Just do something simple. Help another dad find freedom. Help another dad change their life. Write a review. If this has been helpful, drop something. Just one thing. Whoa, this was a wake-up call. This was what I needed. This was helpful for me. All right, let me give you this challenge as we start to close this thing out today. I'm going to give you a challenge, and it's up to you, man. It's your life. I believe that dads that are listening are great dads. You're a great dad. Great dads don't listen to things like this because they don't want to get challenged. They don't want to get accountable. They want to make excuses. They want to tell me about how something else is going on in their life and they don't know how to do it, and all these bad things are going on. Here's a challenge. Here's the friction. Here's the steel. Here's the sharpening of the sword. Name one place you've been hiding and take one exposed action instead. For example, book the conversation. There was a dad recently I talked to. That was the question. Bro, what are you avoiding? He said, man, I got to have this talk with my former partner. There's 3 things that we need to get through, and I keep avoiding it. I'm trying to find the right time. And it's not the right time. He's avoiding the conflict. He's avoiding the conversation. And there's some wisdom in that. I'm not saying that you just got to always crush it. There's wisdom in what you're saying and how you say what you're saying. There's wisdom in praying before you go into a hard conversation. Because, men, we all know that our tone has probably gotten into us a lot of trouble. Look, I'm right there with you. As a leader, we talk like leaders. And to some, that feels like a hard conversation. Say the truth if you got to. Here's a challenge. Ask for help. Join the group. Admit fear. If you haven't jumped in our Skool group, join the group, man. Join the group and do the work. Do the worksheet. Do the things that you need to do. Don't hold back. Get involved. Those are the few things, and I'm gonna drop those into the notes, and I'm gonna leave you with that. Again, if you haven't jumped into our Divorced Dads of America on Instagram, jump in there, comment, leave a review, send me a message if you got something. If you're on our Skool group, what questions do you have? What's bothering you? What do you need to get accountable to? Many guys in our group just drop what they're getting accountable to. You know, I'm letting go of negative thoughts for the week. All kinds of accountability. And you know what? Their lives are changing. They're seeing things differently. And that's what I want for you. I love you guys. I pray for you every single day. Look forward to seeing you in the Skool group or on the Instagram account. God bless you. I'll see you on the next one.